Hey guys, I just wanted to give you a quick explanation of number 15 from your Unit 1 worksheet of the day. That's the 916 one. Overall, you guys seem to know what you're doing on those problems, except for 15. There was a lot of issues, and I thought it would help if I explain it instead of you just looking at the key. So here goes. Okay, so we are looking at this graph, and everything is from this graph. Okay, when we can, we're going to answer in interval notation. Notice it says that right here, answer in interval notation. And so a bunch of these will be in interval notation. So first of all, the domain, remember the domain is just the x values. So we want to start at the left, the lowest x value, that's -6. Okay, think about why I'm using a bracket there, right? Because I want to include the -6 in the answer. And then I am using, see the graph has all these x values all the way over to +6, and it ends right there at +6. So 6 and then a bracket there. Okay, I don't want to just list the points given because notice that this graph is continuous through there. It actually connects all these points, so you can't, it's not just the list of the points given. Range is obviously the y values then. So we want to look from the bottom to the top. So the lowest y value on this graph is right here, right, at -2. And that is included. That's a solid dot there, -2. And then the graph goes all the way up to, notice the y value here is 4 on both of those. So that's a 4, and then that is also included. All right, now letter B. It says find f of -1. And I had some people ask me questions like, does that mean x is -1 or y is -1? Okay, remember that the notation is called f of x, right? So see that the x is actually what replaced, the -1 replaced the x. Okay, so this is saying, okay, when x is -1, what is the y value? Okay, so in other words, f of x, the function is f of x, and then the x is just whatever number is in there. So what we do is we take x is -1 on the graph, that's right here, and we go up here, right here, and then they don't give us a point there, but I think it looks like it's probably 3. So you would put 3 or something near 3, okay? And no, it's not 4 because that 4 is up there. All right, find the value of x for which f of x is equal to 0. So now that's the opposite of b, right? So we're looking for f of x equals 0. In other words, where we're looking at where y equals 0. Okay, so where y equals 0 is right along here on the x-axis. Okay, so you can see that there's two places. One is right here and one is right here. See, y equals 0 there, y equals 0 there. So our two answers are -6 and -2, and that is the values of x. X equals -6 and -2. All right, next one. Is f of 2 positive or negative? So in other words, x equals 2, right? And then we're going to look for, is the y value, is it positive or negative? So if we go over to x equals 2, I'll plop a point down on there. That's x equals 2 and y equals, well, actually, y equals 4, right? So obviously that is a positive for y because the y value is 4. We can tell it's positive, though, because it's above the x-axis, right? All right, so now it says for what values of x is f of x greater than 0? So in other words, is y greater than 0? Okay, I like to see how I'm writing in the y and the x. I like to do that for myself to make sure I'm answering the right question. It's kind of like talking through it yourself. And since you're home, you can actually talk out loud on things, right? And not in the classroom. So where is y greater than 0? I'm going to grab this highlighter, okay, and show you that where y is greater than 0, that means it's where it's above the x-axis. So it's anywhere in here, right? And what we answer in interval notation, we answer the x values, okay? So our answer is going to be the x values, and it's going to be an interval. Okay, so notice in my highlighter that the x values where y is greater than 0 starts at -2, Okay, I'm going to put a parenthesis there, right? Because it says greater than. I don't want it to equal 0, which it does at -2. It's greater than. And then it keeps going over to 6. Okay, and notice that at 6, it's still above the x-axis, so we actually want a bracket there. I wasn't real strict on the grading on that, but this is the correct parenthesis and bracket because over here that equals 0, and over here it's still above, so it's still included. Okay, letter F. What is the relative maximum y value? Okay, the relative maximum, in other words, what is the highest y value? And um, right here, okay, we can see that the highest that y goes is 4. And notice it even gives you a hint. What is the y value? Okay, and where does that maximum occur? Okay, well, notice it's actually, it is an interval because y is 4 from 0 over to 3. Okay. And on this, yep, I want to use a bracket because it is still 4 at those intervals. Okay. And then what is the relative minimum y value? So the very lowest point on the graph, right? Minimum is right here. And the y value is -2. And notice it just occurs at this bottom point that is -4. Okay, then list the intervals on which f of x, or sorry, on which f, same as f of x, is increasing. Okay, increasing just means where is the graph going uphill? So it's going to be, might be several places. Let me see if I can't erase this. Whoop, didn't need that either. And then do some new highlighter. So increasing means uphill. So here's downhill, and we're going to go from left to right. It's always the same way we read in English. So left to right. So see, I'm going uphill. Now it's flat, don't count that, and now it's downhill. Okay, think of skiing or sledding or something like that where you're going up hills and down hills. All right, so we have figured out that that interval, right, is just this highlighted part. So that is from -4 to 0. Now, notice that we're answering in the x values. We always put intervals in the x values, except for range. Everything else is going to be x values. So you always answer in intervals and you always answer in the x values. So because it says list the intervals. So it's, in other words, where is it increasing? So the x values are where it's increasing. Okay. Now the x values, or sorry, the intervals, x values on which f is decreasing. So let me erase the other one so we can just consider the decreasing. Okay, so decreasing obviously means going downhill. So this is going to be our downhill slopes. Again, it's going to be x values. But first, I think it's helpful to highlight it right on the graph. So start from left to right, whee, downhill. Okay, uphill, flat, and downhill. Okay, so we'll answer those two intervals, and we're going to say we're decreasing from -6 to -4. Those are those x values. Union with 3 until 6. So typically you're going to want parentheses on H and I, but actually brackets are okay too. So either one is okay. Well, I hope this was helpful and you got some of your questions answered on this very important graph. And do notice that you have an example, another example of this on page 6 of your collaborative text, your guided notes. And so you could maybe review that again, maybe try it again on a separate piece of paper and see if you're getting it better. All right, well, thanks for watching and have a great day.